Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing great. Today, we are going to continue our journey in methods while we started last week. So please make sure that your Visual Studio is open. And then this is the second video that we didn't cover last week that we are going to start watching. I added those videos on top of the here, as you see, on top of the file. Apart from that, I want to quickly again go to the resources, mentioning some stuff. So the first part includes all the recordings, all the videos that are relevant to methods. And at the end of the resources, I have provided some full course videos that they have everything from A to Z. One of them is from Giraffe Academy. The last one is from Brocode. I strongly recommend so this one should be A3. Okay, Control S. The other thing is, in any one of these website resources, you have the definition of, for instance, the first one start saying that the anatomy of the method has several segments. Michael, you got surprised how many accounts I have, right? So the first one, it talks about the anatomy of the method, for example. Beautifully, you can just see the first part of what are they? It's not very important. Access modifiers. The second part is the return type, and so on and so forth, right? So you can just have method name and the input parameters that we have, or they call it arguments as well. I think the best to jog our memory would be Brocode review. So I just play this one. I don't know. Please confirm if you can hear.
Hey, what's going on, people? It's your bro. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, we're going to create methods in C#. So sit back, relax, and yeah, enjoy the show. All right, people, methods. A method performs a section of code whenever it's called, also known as invoking a method. And the benefit of using a method is that it lets us reuse code without writing it multiple times. Here's a scenario. Let's say that we have to write a program where we need to sing happy birthday to our friend 3 times because we would like to annoy him. One way in which we could do that without writing a method is that we would need to display as output, the lyrics to happy birthday. I just made my own version of it. So happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear you, happy birthday to you. If I need to sing happy birthday 3 times, I would need to copy and paste this code 2 additional times. And that would allow me to effectively sing happy birthday 3 times. So after running this, we have all of our text repeated 3 times. Now, a better way of writing this would be to use a method where we only have to write this once, and then we can keep on reusing it. Yeah, let's delete all of this. Outside of our main method, that will end right here. We need to create a new method, and the way we do that is that for this specific case, we have to write static because we're invoking a method from our main method, which is static. So we need static, but not always. Void, and then a unique and descriptive name of this method. What does it do exactly? So let's call this method sing happy birthday, then a set of parentheses, then a set of curly braces. And we have ourselves a method named sing happy birthday. And when we call this method, what kind of code do we want to execute? So let's copy and paste the lyrics to happy birthday and then place it within this method. Now to invoke a method or call a method, we have to type the name of the method followed by a set of parentheses. And I like to think of the parentheses kind of like a pair of telephones. They're communicating with each other. That's how I think of it, at least. And then a semicolon to end the statement. So after running this will execute sing happy birthday once. Now, if I need to sing happy birthday 2 additional times, I can just call this method 2 additional times. Sing happy birthday, sing happy birthday, sing happy birthday, and I do not need all of this text. I only need to write it once, and then I can just keep on reusing it. And here we have the lyrics to my happy birthday song repeated 3 times. Let's move on to level 2. We're going to create a string variable named name. String name equals and make up some name. Now, what if we attempt to use this variable within our method? So replace you with name. Happy birthday, dear name. Okay, here's the situation. The name does not exist in the current context. Methods don't have access to any variables within another method. So anything within the main method, this sing happy birthday method cannot see. So we need to pass what are known as arguments over to this method in order to use these values or variables. So when you invoke a method and you need to send arguments over to a method, we just list whatever we would like to send over to this method within the parentheses. So I would like to pass name as an argument to this method. However, we need a matching set of arguments and parameters. Parameters are kind of like what this method is expecting to receive. And to create some parameters, we list the data type of what we're expecting, followed by some sort of name. So let's just say name. And now we can use this variable name that is declared within the main method. And we now have our name variable displayed within our happy birthday song. And here's how to send more than one argument to a method. Let's create an integer variable named age, and we will display the user's age within our happy birthday song. So separate each argument with a comma. We will pass name as well as age to our happy birthday method. But remember, we need a matching set of arguments and parameters. So we need to add a age parameter. So separate each with a comma, then list the data type of this variable first, int, and then a name. We'll just call it age. And now we can use this age variable within our method. So let's create a line where we will display the person's age. So console.writeLine, you are plus age plus years old. And let's try this again. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear bro. You are 21 years old. Happy birthday to you. I guess my happy birthday song could use some work. Now, these parameters, they don't necessarily need the same exact name as the arguments that we pass in. Let's rename name as birthday boy and replace age with years old. Okay, then replace any instance of name with birthday boy and age with years old. And this will work the same. So you can rename these parameters. What's important is the data type and the order of the values that you pass in. All right, everybody, well, those are methods. They perform a section of code whenever they are called, also known as invoking a method. And the benefit of using methods is that it allows us to reuse code without writing it multiple times. We only had to write the lyrics to Happy Birthday once. Then if we had to sing Happy Birthday, more than one time, we can just keep on invoking this method however many times that we need. So those are methods. If you can, give this video a thumbs up, drop it.
Okay, so before anything, I want to just quickly see what we have here, and I want your blessed presence to tell your friends what are the things that you liked about the code. What are the things that you see as a kind of good practices, and what are the things that you don't you think that you can make it even better in this very simple method? Kevin, you look like you have some points.
No, the only thing I would say is, since we learned string interpolation, we'd use that instead of concatenation for this instance. But that's the only thing, the simplest thing I see, the simplest.
Kevin, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Actually, interpolation is one of the things that we could do better in this code, and thank you for addressing that. What else? Great. What else? what are the things that you like about the code? At the beginning, I saw, for instance, one of the things is it was name, age, and we had as the arguments or parameters of the method, and we had the same name and age here, right? And it makes confusion because when you want to track and you want to see what is happening, you can't distinguish these two from each other. So the best practice is having separate set of names for the arguments compared to the variables that you might use during the body of the program. Does that make sense? That's another thing that we can learn from this. What else can we learn from this one? Look at here, we have a class program, right? So within a class, we have a static void main. Please be careful, unless that you have a reason for that. The methods that you're going to define should be outside the main, right? So that is the place that we are starting. I'm repeating that unless that you have a specific reason to include them within the main. That's another thing that we want to do. I'm going to upload all these files. I reviewed them last night, making sure that I have already included everything that we need. I addressed a main method, and there are two ways of showing. One of them is top level statement, and the other one is old fashioned. I have specified 08H, and last night I added this one, a short, these two videos. This one just takes 3 minutes, and this one 6 minutes. They explained what are the changes that happened in C#9. They added this feature. So technically they have the main method behind the scene, but it is easier for people like me that I started C# recently. I don't need to worry about the class, curly braces, main methods, and so on and so forth. And if I need to access the arguments and what they are, we are gonna see them down the road. You don't need to worry. You can just set them in the menus that we have. Okay, this is something beyond what we need to cover in the course. Please just watch these videos at your convenience. And they are very much, they explained, especially the second one, this thoroughly, and you don't need any other resources to go. The other thing that I have provided is this best practice that, if you see, it is just created last night. And I'm going to explain that, but let's just, all of us, because it's gonna just get boring if I talk and talk and talk. Let's just start practicing together. And what I'm going to do, oh no, this one. What I'm going to do, I'm going to tell the challenge for the first one. We are going to just copy, but the rest, I'm going to tell you the challenge. You're going to see the result, and you are going to implement the code, helping me to find the answers for the questions. Okay. The first one is a simple program. You see that we have public static void welcome, and have a nice, yes, I know, and should be capitalized maybe. And then we just call those functions. I'm going to send you this part, which is the main method part. And I want you just to define whatever you like to be your welcome, and have a nice day message.
Sorry, Rizzo, what was the task?
The task is you already have the static void main part. You need to define two methods. Please just modify them the way that you like. Instead of just saying welcome friends, you can say welcome my friends at Centennial, something like that. Have a nice day, just not have a nice day. Just customize the message. It's a warm-up practice. Oh boy, it doesn't work for me. And I want you to fix my code. Why it doesn't work for me? It's just a review of what we did last week, but Maria, my apologies. You were the one who asked me question lately, right? And I was not able to answer because I saw it just in the morning. Am I correct? If yes, please type 1. Okay. I extended the deadline because I was not able to answer you in time. So we have one more day. After finishing the class, I'm gonna go thoroughly to your question and answer you after that. Does that make sense? Okay, so you don't need my answer anymore. Okay, good. And again, my apologies. Sometimes it takes time for me. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so one quick question, guys. What are the problems that I have in this code? Can anybody help me? Michael, you want to help?
Yeah, you're still in the namespace space, like you're not enclosed in a class, so the public access type doesn't really
Thanks.
uh
I'm gonna take care of them. Okay, I deleted them. So, and what else? If I run it, is it going to work?
no, because obviously you're not inside the proper program class structure, so your void main is not actually being classified as an entry point. It's just a all by itself method, so it needs to be invoked or called or do that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So that is why the simplest is, guys, always remember that. If you use this level, this top level statement format, right? And you want to invoke a method or call a method, make sure that there is no, and you want to copy it from somewhere, make sure that, yes, there is no actually main method and there is no public. Kevin, thank you. Michael, thank you. And the thing is, for the next practice, let's still keep doing it this way. In the next practice, we just actually, I copied the answer that Michael was kind to tell. This is the correct version if you use top level statement. And now, guys, very simple. I want you to write a method, call it whatever you want, that gives you this output. And please send it to private message to me, guys. This is gonna be question after question. It's very simple. Just write a method that provides this output for us, and please send it to my private message. Thank you.
Do you want a method that says welcome?
That this is the output. Yes, welcome.
Okay.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, okay.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Pooja, you you completed the previous. Please start from the scratch, a very minimal version of the welcome. Kevin. Okay, awesome. Alex. Wow. Thank you, Michael. Awesome. So let's just quickly take a look at it. Yes, as you see, we have something as simple as Control-A, Control-V, as simple as having, oh, by the way, this is my apologies. I'm going to get rid of this one, and I'm going to get rid of this one, and I'm going to just say welcome. Okay, now it is correct. Let's just Control-C, see if I didn't miss anything. So there are two types of people, those who prefer to address the methods at the end of their programs, and those who use the top of the program for defining the function methods and just call them later. Which one do you prefer? That's your call. Let me ask our friends here. Joseph, which one do you prefer?
I'd prefer to put it first.
Aha.
Yeah, because when you did it at the end, it got me confused with the void main as well. So I would prefer to put it in the beginning.
So means something like this, right? Means to have the method on top and then call it later.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna listen to your advice. So guys, I'm gonna change this one to what Joseph said. How about you, Michael? What is your preference?
It really depends on the use case. I usually definitely go constants and utility functions at the top. Well, actually, I can't even say that because sometimes I put my utility functions at the bottom as well. I think it's just how the file reads at the time. Varies all the time.
Awesome. So you see that we have different opinions, and as Michael said, it could be really depend on the situation that we are dealing with. But I'm going to talk about this exactly later, and that's the question that we have. Here you see which approach is better in C#, defining a function before calling it or calling a function before defining it, right? So we have different approaches. And even a follow-up question could be this one that a little bit brings the type of functions, like if they are private, protected, or they are public, how we are going to define those functions. We are going to talk about them later down the road, but it's a good time to start asking that question. And intentionally, I'm not saying which one is my preference. Thank you, Pooja. I'm not saying which one is my preference, at least now, but I want to provide both examples for you. Okay, guys, it is going to be very simple. I want you just change a little bit here. Use interpolation, adding name here, and mine doesn't work, and I'm confused. Why not? Okay, name when I say means that I can just say Reza. So I fed up. What welcome from Reza, maybe it fix it from Reza from name, I should say, huh? Okay. What's name of what? But I want you to fix my code and say what is missing here. So your task is change your code and just send in the text what is the missing part in my code. Alex, bravo. Excellent. Let's see who else. Good job, Joseph. Good job, Pooja. Michael, thank you. Eskim, bravo. Okay. Guys, we are going to make it harder. So this is what I learned from you, that I need to define a type here. So string name. And then, yes, we are going to pass that name into there. You see people use something like my name if you really need to define string name outside the function in the main block, for example. Okay, let's go further. Here we have, I'm gonna bring this one here and give me a second. I just made something. Yes, desktop today. Okay, that's for today. And the next thing is, I want you to say the message like this. Where is this one? I want you to provide the output like this. So put your beautiful name in that message. It should say that hello from Michael, hello from Alex, hello from Joseph, Kevin, Pooja, and say you are number one, for sure you are. So we have 2 lines and we have 1 number here too. So if you pass, for instance, 2, it should say you are number 2. So don't use number 2 for that. Say always you are number 1. Okay. Bravo, Michael. Thank you, Eskim. Eskim, Michael, Joseph. Excellent. How about the cat friend?
I posted mine a long time ago. You didn't see it?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed. My bad, Alex. Great.
If I'm too
Jeez.
fast, let me know. I'll slow down a little.
That's a good one. Okay, guys, give me a second, and that's actually because I have lots of windows. I want to do something, and to display. So I'm gonna bring your handsome and beautiful faces to this display. Then great. So I can just see all of you and see the messages without missing. So Michael said that, Eskim said that, Alex, Joseph, great. And also Pooja, bravo. Um, Pooja, use, I don't see the function. I want you to use a function, please, okay? Look at this one. Let's just go together to do this. It's as, simple as this one. We say string my name, for example, int my number. You see, that's a tendency that I have to distinguish between, for instance, if I have name somewhere, right? What do I mean by that, Reza? Imagine that I say string name, and I'm going to initialize it saying Reza for that. And then instead of saying Reza here, I'm going to just use name. That's the way. And if I want to have number, I'm going to say int number, for example, or here I'm going to say, yeah, number equal to 1. And the thing is, I'm going to replace this with number. That's the tendency that I have to distinguish between name as a variable that I have in a program and my name as an argument or parameter or a kind of placeholder that is going to be filled with these variables later. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to add this one as saying a bit better version, say why or guess why. Okay, awesome. So I have some more friends that they added things. Good, Pooja. Okay, Goma, you don't like me this session anymore? We cannot see your handsome face. Okay, we always see your nice smile. Excellent, great. Okie doke. So let's go to the next practice that we are going to have. And that is, as always, let me just show you the output. And based on the output, we are going to guess what we need to do, right? The question asked us to provide, give me a second. Here it is. And the question asked us to say, guys, this is based on true story. My name is Reza and I'm 18 years old, okay? So you need to pass two things, name and age. So please write the function.
So Reza, I just wanted to ask, because if we're gonna add more of these examples to our main, should we keep like copy and pasting static void main for every example? If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's absolutely a valid question. How about this? I'm going to start a project right after this, and I'm gonna tell you how we are gonna treat that from the scratch. I hope that I can cover your question, or you
Okay.
can ask the parts that I cannot cover in the first attempt, so we can complete it together. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
No problem.
Alex. The Speedy's problem solver. Michael. Excellent. Eskim. Great. Okay. So, to the interest of time, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to bring this. Look at this one. I just made it very simple. So we have this function, Joseph, right? And this is the part that we need to have inside the main block. But let's just close our Visual Studio. And I'm going to open a new one and say create a project. So let's, and based on, I'm going to pick.
What I'm trying to get at, Reza, is like, how do you add more examples to the same main that you're using? Because like, is it just the curly braces, and we just keep adding that to the main?
Yeah, well, that's actually two questions. I'm going to answer that too. How about
Okay,
that?
okay.
Awesome. So the thing is here, if I just say next, and here I'm going to say week, for instance, what week we are in, 09. And then I'm going to say next. And here's the place that if I say do not use top level statements, means use the old fashioned format. And then if I say create, you're going to see we have that classical kind of shape that we have a namespace that is this part at addressing the place that we have the solution. And it says that internal class. So we have a class, and inside the class, we have something which is called main method. Does that make sense? This is not using that facility, but okay, imagine that Reza said my info, for instance. I'm going to copy that here. Look, I'm inside the class, but this one should come where? Into here, for example. And the question that you have, imagine that later I'm going to use another kind of method. And that is going to come again inside the curly braces. You see that of the class like this. And then this one is going to come here. But you might say, Reza, for now, I don't want to show this one, right? Temporarily, you are going to just comment that one, right? And you are going to run the rest of the code, and it's going to work like this, just focusing on this part, for example. You see that?
Yeah.
And okay, that's how, or if you, and that's, we have two kind of things. One is control the part that you want to just comment for temporarily. I'm going to say Control K C, and they're going to comment them as you see. And if I press Control U, it's going to uncomment that block quickly and bring them back to the game. Did I answer?
So say you this is perfect. This is understandable. And then say, for example, you ask another example, but staying on this visual code file that you opened. How are we going to add another example with the information that's already on your main? Wouldn't that, confuse the codes together?
Oh, well, that is why my suggestion is always, at least for now that we are just practicing together,
Got it.
always have something like Notepad. The way that I keep the code, because it confuses me as well, I prefer and I strongly recommend for the exam that we're going to have next week, do the same strategy. If you have question one, say question sorry, one, and start typing, for instance, if this is the answer for question one, I'm going to just bring the answer here, saying that this is how I called the function to. I'm just very quick in this. And then
Yeah.
just go to the next and say question two and so on and so forth, and get rid of all of those things.
Okay. I'm doing that now actually, because it makes it
Okay.
easier. So then I could go back after I copy it on Notepad, I could go back, just erase everything and then start fresh for the next example.
Excellent. Yes,
Got
that's
it. Got it.
awesome. And now the other question that actually that was my mistake. I thought that Joseph asking that Pooja, I received your task as well. Kevin as well. Thank you very much, Kevin, Pooja.
Oh, sorry.
So that was the question I thought that Joseph has. Okay, if I have that main and I want to bring it to, imagine that I don't have these things. Let's first simplify it. Imagine that we have just only these two functions. You see that it works without any problem. Okay, and the question for now is how I can bring that one, this structure, into the top level domain. And that is super easy. You just get rid of everything from the main all the way to the top, and then get rid of that curly braces, and then get rid of them. A better thing is to say control A, control KD, and it's going to correct indentation. It's a beautifier. So control KD is going to make it nice, neat, the way that you see here. And then that's how we bring from normal format, old format, to top level statement. I say top level domain, I don't know why. Okay. That's how we make it top level statement. Okay, now let's, I'm going to cut this one, bring it to my side note that I have. And the next practice that we have together is, please create a method. I repeat it, please create a method that gets a number and adds 5 into that number. I repeat it. Please create a method that receive an integer. Imagine that I pass my int equal to 10, and it is going to add 3 into it. This is what we call, okay. This is the function call. The name of a method, my method. I pass 3, and I expect to have 8 as the output. Very simple. Try your best. This is the output. Joseph, thank you. Mr. Cesar. Awesome. Okay. let's just quickly review the code together. I'm gonna copy it here. This is gonna be the function call, method call, and this is the function. Very simple. We say static int my method int x, and then we are gonna just add 5 into it and return the value. Does that make sense? This is the function, and that's how it works. Okay. Awesome. The next thing is writing our basic calculator. I want you to define, to define a method that gets 2 numbers and return the summation of those 2 numbers. Okay. It's pretty simple compared to the examples that you have already done. Eskim, thank you very much. Guys, if I miss anyone's job, please remind me. Excellent. Mr. Cesar.
Sorry, Reza, what was the task?
The task is write a method that gets 2 numbers and add them together and return. For instance, this is the signature. This is the function call that I have. And it should return 8. So, for instance, let's say 10, 20 here. You see that it gives us error. So definitely I need to have something like int x, int y. And the funny thing is it gives no error, but the logic is not correct because we want to get those 2 numbers and add them together, right? So we need to be careful if, it gives answer, not error, but the logic is not correct. Bravo, Maria. Merci. Let's just add all these active participants into the list. Maria. Wells. Alex. I very much like the way that you named parameters. Eskim, very complete version. And Alex, great. Kevin. Okay, awesome. So the next thing is actually, this is not the appropriate way. You already have, let me tell you one thing. I learned that from one of my very genius friend, and we needed to create a project that was for one of the articles that we were working. We needed to have some random numbers, and we need to run our algorithm over those random numbers. So it took me quite long time to make a neat, nice series of random numbers. He said, Reza, don't do that. First, just put some numbers like 10, 20, 30 in a list. Make your code work And after that, you're confident that it works with those kind of preset numbers, then complete that randomness, bring that randomness to your code. Does that make sense? So I learned that this way, actually, if you have any project, anything, make it work like this. If it works, then make it nicer, neater. For instance, this is integer number 1, integer number 2. Please enter your first number, place it inside number 1, and then so on and so forth. Does that make sense? Now, what I want you to do is, please complete this by asking the user, please enter number 1 or first number and take them. For those who like Reza left behind, I'm gonna share that. Let me just see who is the last. Farhina, thank you very much. Farhina. For those who left behind, this is the part of the code, and you need to complete it. Thank you, Adewale. This is the answer to the previous question. Now make it complete. I just give you the bonus for this one. Instead of passing 5 and 7, let the user enters their values. Maria, thank you. This is the correct answer to the previous question. Now we need to make it completer or more complete. Yes, Mr. Cesar. Who else? Let's wait for a couple of more seconds. Okay, look at this one. Very simple. I consider 2 things here. Number 1, number 2, I define them both on top as you see. Look at this one. Some people say you can just say number 2 like this. I just say semicolon at the end, and you don't need to have this one, right? I'm not of the opinion of this type of things. Yes, it's more concise, while I prefer this format because for me it is more readable. I know that people have their own style. Kevin, thank you very much. Yes. So Yes.
Did you receive mine? I accidentally did it without declaring the inputs in the beginning and it still worked for some reason.
Um,
Is it because I wrote integer number one in my conversion? That's why it's not giving me an error?
can you please do me a favor? Let me just see. Toby, thank you. Can you please send it again?
Yeah, I just sent it again.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do, Alex, Control C. Now I have your code in the, it's here, Control A, Control V. If that is your code.
Yeah. I'm just asking why it didn't give me an error. Is it because I declared the number, like I wrote integer number one equals in the conversion, and then that doesn't
Yeah.
give me an error?
Just
Okay.
because you have it in line, yeah.
I see.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'm gonna quickly go to this code first, and then I'm gonna get back to your code and explain it to everybody. Okay. In this code, you see that I used number one, number two, and I asked the user to enter the number and then convert it to integer, and then just save them in these two variables, right? And I called the function, my method, and I passed those two variables. Not to get confused, I use num1 and num2 for the parameters to distinguish between these two things. While I'm going to pass number one to num1, and I'm going to pass number two to num2, and I'm going to say the sum is this. I think this is quite clear for everybody, right? Let me just see if I missed anyone's Adewale. And thank you. Who else? Okay, Maria. Thank you. And the last, Eskim, bravo, as always, very complete. Okay, now I'm going to bring the Alex code here. What we have, we say static void my method, right? And it's exactly, Alex, if I very much explain that, technically with your question and with this style, you ruined one of the things that I wanted to teach in no time. But I quickly just tell you, what do you think would be the best? Right now, actually, you asked the question here inside the method that please enter the thingy and enter the first number. And then you ask, please enter the second number here, right? You brought all those things within the function statement. That is one approach, but people say, experts say, a better practice is to keep the function as minimal as possible. Means if you want to communicate, it should happen outside the function. The function's job should be just one thing, for instance, multiplying or summing the variables that we get. Any communication that you want to have with the user, it should be either in another function or outside the function in the main body. Does that make sense? We are going to see that in one example, and I'm going to extensively explain that, but for short, this is not wrong if that's the exam and we are going to have such a question. Your answer is like this, you are going to get the full mark. Okay, good question. Let's just go a little bit further, and then we are going to have, guys, this was the, just look at the difference between this approach and this approach. And instead of my method, I'm going to call my method one, to distinguish between those two, having lots of thingies. Look, they are going to work. They're going to give us the same answer, right? Let's just run them. You see, the Alex code asks, please enter the first 10, 20, and it gives 30. My code is going to, if I say 10, 20, gives the same result, right? But the actual logic in Alex code, when we get inside the method, it asks you, please enter the first number and save it into here, and then the second as well. And using interpolation, you just show that this is the value. Look at this one. Here I ask the user in the main method, not inside the method, to enter their numbers, and I pass them to the variables that we have, to the arguments that we have, and then this is going to be just one line. Okay, by saying that, I want to show a little bit better version of what we did, and I want you, now you are expert. This is the last question before we get to a break. So I have this question for you. Which one is the best? I'm gonna keep my code here, and I'm gonna keep another version, and I want you to tell me, how about this? Which one is better? And what are the things that you like in a recent version?
Yeah, the comments.
Other wallet, the comments are one thing, very much. You got the point for saying that. What else? Adewale said, we have comments, which makes it more readable. That's one thing. Awesome. What else?
Like you said in our previous example, we have the function outside the method. I mean, by function, I mean we have the input for the users and the conversion outside, and the only thing we have in the method is the processing itself, the equation, so we can invoke on this equation if we need it multiple times.
Nice. Alex, thank you for the clarification. Let me just quick, is there anyone else? Let's just see, we have to, Michael said 1000 lines of function, debug. Okay, yeah. So, and Michael, addressing the previous discussion that we had, me and Alex, saying that if you have a lengthy function, it's not easy to debug and find the problem statement, the problem place. And then Marias is saying the function is defined before asking for values. To put, yes, that is one of the things that I like, to first define function on top and then use it. That's another thing. Maria, you got the point for that. But let me ask you one thing. The first thing is, in the previous method, and I very much not like this way, saying my method, your method, or something, because I cannot understand the functionality of the method by just saying my method. This one, I said my sum, so I can understand that something relevant to adding two numbers is going to happen there. So the name should be relevant to the action of the function or method. That is one thing. The other thing is, in the previous one, if you see that I said void, and by saying that, I just printed this. This is something that people have not a very clear idea. And that is one of the questions that you can test people, saying that, okay, look at this one, Reza. Actually, it prints something on the screen while you are saying that it doesn't return anything, while you say it is void. At the beginning, it could be a little bit confusing for us, but guys, imagine that I have a sticker. I have a sticker, and I'm gonna stick that on top of the screen. Print is like having a sticker that you're going to stick on top of your monitor. Does that make sense? Print is not a location in the memory that I can use it later. I repeat that. Print is not a container that you can put things into it and use it later. So technically, I do not return anything. I do not return any container saying, right? Yes. Exactly, Michael. Whenever we have console.write line, any format of printing, it's gonna be a sticker on top of the Michael is saying that. And Maria said that so a static void can only print messages, does not return any value, not take. They can take, look at here, they take number 1, they take number 2 as the input parameters, but they do not return anything. They just print it. Could I explain it clearly, Maria? Whenever you say print means write the answer on a sticker note, place it somewhere. Again, I repeat that. Whenever you say print or console.write line for print, you're going to just write it on the screen. You don't save it in any place in the memory. Look at this one. You have all the right to say that, Reza, I got confused. Look at here. We define a function. That function gets 2 numbers, number 1 and number 2. Maria, listen to my explanation. I'm going to get to your question after that, still, if we have any concern, okay? So I define a method, a function called mySum, and that function's responsibility is getting 2 different numbers like 10 and 20. Then we are going to say, add those 2 numbers like 10 plus 20 and save them inside the result and return that result. Does that make sense? Could you follow everything up to this part? Yes or no? Okay, and because that thingy that we are going to return is an integer, look at here, because we are going to bring back something, we are going to say static int, not static void anymore, because we are going to return something. Long story short, that's a kind of trick. If you see that there is a return thing in any part of the function, then you shouldn't have void. You should have return type of that. If it is integer, you should say static integer. If it is a string, you have to say static string and then the name of a function. Okay, let's just get to the code here. I get the first number. I get the first number. I get the second number. And this time, look at this part. This time, I'm going to pass 2 numbers and then say, okay, bring the result for me in here into a container, call it my main result, for example. And then you can nicely say the sum of number 1 and number 2 is that container that I put the result into it. Okay, Maria, do you have still your question or could I answer your question? Okay, just one thing. Let's go through this question together. I'm saying the first number is 10, the second number is 20, and it says that the by saying that I pass those 2 things, and now it works. Because I promised that let's have a 10-minute break, we are going to have a quick break together. And then after that, I'm going to use a breakpoint and use this example so 10 minutes starts from now. At 10:55, we are going to continue our journey. Thank you very much. Okay, if you can hear me, please type 1. Yay, Michael, Farhina, Joseph, Adewale, Alex, Mr. Cesar, and a lot more. Okay, awesome. So getting back to the question that we had, and that was how this code actually works. And we said that instead of saying void that only prints, let me just show you one thing here. I'm going to comment this line, and I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to comment this line. Let me just make sure. Yeah, and I'm gonna bring that back to void. So technically I shouldn't have return. And instead of return, I should just say console write line, for example, results. That is this. Yes.
Are you sharing your screen, Professor?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. So I think now you can see the screen, right?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So look at this one. In this case, and I'm gonna get rid of that part. In this case, we are going to get 2 values, and we are gonna just, yeah, print those. What is gonna happen? This function gets 2 numbers, add them together, save them temporarily in a variable called result. And what happens is it just prints that result. That's it, like what it was before. I'm gonna run this one and see what is gonna happen. Yes, the program is going to ask us, please enter the first number 1, the second number 2, and then it prints this 3. Let me just place the breakpoint here. Now I'm gonna run it. What actually happens if I say 1, right? And did I run? Okay, and I say 2. Now look what's gonna happen. It gets here while the number 1 already contains 1, number 2, my number 2 contains 2, and then look at here, num1, and then I hover the mouse num2. They already passed those 2 values. And I go to the next line here, I get those 2 numbers, add them together, and then simply just, now the result is 3, adding those 2 numbers, and it just prints that on the screen. And that is why when we get to the result, you see that the result is over there. Does that make sense? Now I'm going to get back to the original format of the code. I quickly just bring it back. Control A, Control V. This time, we are not going to print it. We are gonna save it somewhere. Let me just place bullet point here. And I'm going to make, yeah, this is part of the screen. Yeah, good. I'm gonna run it. And it gets all the way to this place. I go to the next step, saying that let's this time use 10. Get the, yeah, 10 and press enter. Now it is saying that please enter the second number. And then I'm gonna just type 20, enter. Look what's gonna happen. Right now, if I hover the mouse, number 1, my num1 contains 10, my num2 contains 20. And in this line, we have 10 and 20 passed to this part, you see that 10 and 20 when we call the function. And then the thing is, we do exactly the same summation, but we are not going to print anything. We have a variable that is going to return the value, that result, to the program. So the result of my sum, those two, it's gonna be in a part of memory. We get to that. Look at here. The return of this is going to be saved here. And that is why, because it is integer, we say static int my sum, because it returns an integer. If it returns a string, it should be static string something, right? That kind of thing. And look at this line. We have my num1 10, my num2 20, and then the result that we got from our calling method, and it's going to stay in that variable, and we are done. Okay, the next task that we have is just a little bit simplified. I'm gonna get rid of that bullet point, that breakpoint, and I'm gonna say, instead of having one result, let's directly say return num1 plus num2. And my question is it going to do the same thing? Let's just see. I'm gonna say 10, 20, and it goes the way that we had before, return 30. Does it make sense? Okay, now I see all those things about sharing the screen. Okay, sorry about the inconvenience. Anyway, Maria, and now could you relate to the things that I already shared? Already said everything is clear. Okay, so before getting any further, I want to address a few things. One of them is I received that question from some of you. I told in the previous session, and I said, I'm going to provide an announcement. That is something that I forgot. My apologies. I sent an announcement yesterday saying that next week we are going to have our exam, our test 2. And mostly, I like to use methods, even if I ask something like using for loops, conditions, and so on. I try to ask you to implement everything within a function format, method format. And today, if you see, we started from very simple kind of shape. Believe it or not, guys, today it's like things are turning on, turning off automatically without my interference, and it makes me worry. Anyway, so the thing is, we are going to work a lot on functions. One of the reasons for that is I remember the time that I started learning functions, methods, subroutine, whatever you want to call them. I needed more practice to feel it, and they just normally made 1-2 examples, show me the definition, and they expected that I can just solve all the problems in the world. That is not gonna happen. We need to practice, and the more that you practice, the more you feel comfortable with methods. That's one part. The other thing is, especially the time that you are gonna get to know more about object-oriented, you see that's the major part that you use in object-oriented, the functionalities that you're gonna define in classes. What are they? Don't know. We don't need to bother for now, but what we are going to use it in the next semester, okay? So continuing our journey here, imagine that, Maria, imagine that I ask you in the midterm, test 2, that please provide a simple calculator. A simple calculator. Definitely, you need to have my sum. I'm lazy. I'm gonna use this 4 times, huh? So I'm gonna say subtraction and my multiplication, and the other one is going to be my division. Okay, and I need just to say subtract the first one from the second. Here I'm gonna just say multiply, and here I'm gonna just say division. Does that make sense? Okay, it looks like this is what we expect to have, while this is not the best version of what we could have. One of the reasons is what if I pass 0 for num2 for the division? That's the time that you have to check if num2 is equal to 0. You need to ask the user, please re-enter the denominator, because the denominator cannot be 0. Does that make sense? One function for operation, classification with validation. Can you elaborate more on that, Michael, please?
Yeah, so instead of having multiple functions for each separate operation, just have a single function that asks the user for the operation they want to perform on the numbers, validate it, and then proceed. Instead of multiple functions, you could just do it in one, right?
Yeah, that's a kind of advance. And my knowledge is not in that level at the moment. That's why
You are a liar, sir.
No, well, actually, I'm gonna just study that. But the thing is, at the moment, this is a kind of, and we are gonna see till the hopefully before the end of this session. I want to make it just more complete. Like, okay, which, as Michael said, the best is to say, what do you want to do? Multiplying, dividing, or what? So in that case, we need to have a kind of menu function. Please enter 1 to sum. Please enter 2 to subtract, 3 multiplication, 4 for division, 5 to exit. Does that make sense? So we need to have a kind of a statement, and then we go to, guys, what is the best structure that we learned till this moment to implement? If a person pressed 1, then add those. Lovely, Alex. Excellent. The best is going to be using switch case. If a person presses 1, then add those 2, or if a person presses plus, both works, for instance, right? So we are gonna just make it better and better and better. So Maria said, can we use if else inside one function? Definitely. Definitely. For this one, you can simply say if what do we call it? Num1, num2 is equal to 0, right? That's the thing. Don't forget to put that. You can say print. Oh, print. This is not Reza. This is not your class was yesterday. Your Python class. The divided by 0 is not acceptable. Okay, that kind of thing. And we are going to say return. This is not the best. I'm just trying to do something here, and we say return 0, for example, for now. So we check the condition, and we say why we cannot proceed the way that we expect. We just keep that out. Well, that's a kind of band-aid. solution, Maria, but it works. Did I answer the, yeah, that's the, yeah. Did I answer your concern for now, Maria? So we can have that if condition within the function, and we can have a lot more, and we are gonna see that. Okay, so by saying that, let's go to the next challenge that we have. This time, I want you, please, and this is this is the thing, not a sophisticated, just a lengthy practice. We want to have 4 inputs for integer numbers, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and your function should just sum them up all together. So please start.
Are we getting the numbers from the user?
Yes, please. Lovely. Excellent, Michael. Thank you very much. If anyone has any question, this is the input and this is the output of the function. We expect to have to receive those 4 numbers from the user. And this is what we call it a signature of a method. I just don't know what we need to have here. Okay. Wow. Lots of great answers. After Michael, Kevin, bravo. For some unknown reason, it doesn't give me notice. So Michael, Kevin, Alex, Eskim, as always, very complete, very nice. You have your signature on your code, Eskim. Okay. So let me just copy from what I learned from you and see if we can just explain what is happening in the code. Here it is. Okay, so very simple. We need 4 different containers, 4 different variables, locations inside the memory. Joseph, thank you.
Sorry, I posted it in the main one. I'll send it to you privately.
Great, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so the thing is, we need to have 4 containers. We ask the user to enter the first number, second number, third, and fourth. And then we are gonna pass those numbers. So whatever you enter for the first is gonna get to this argument. The second one is gonna go to this one. The third one is gonna go to this one. And this is the fourth. Look at this one. I said int result. I could say, I'm just saying, I'm not saying this is wrong. I could just do this too in one line, saying int result is equal to num1 plus num2 plus num3 plus num4. That is totally acceptable. Even more than that, Adewale, thank you again. Even more than that, I could just simply say return the summation of all those. So I didn't need even to have any location in the memory for result separately. It is possible as well. Okay. And if I run the code, you see the summation of 1, 2, 3, and 4 is 10, and that is how it works. Okay, by saying that, let's just do something a little bit differently. And I have an intention, guys. There are times that I expect that Reza gets everything when I explain the topic. This time is not one of those moments. I do not expect that you grasp everything. The first reason is I cannot understand the whole concept by myself. Thank you, Pooja. And the place for this lesson is actually in the next semester. The whole idea is just to get to know it a little bit. So when it comes to the time that if I have the chance, if I'm lucky to continue our journey with you, then when I explain that part, you can just connect it to this session that we studied together today. Let me ask you one thing, Joseph. If I say console.writeLine 10 plus 20, and if I say, look at this one, if I say writeLine 10 plus 20, and if I say writeLine HE plus LLO, what do you expect to have in 2 different lines?
One line 30, second line, hello.
Excellent. But my question for you is, even if I say, for instance, here, 20.5, right? I wish I just kept the first one, like 10 and 20. Now you can expect that we have 3 different results. The first one is going to show 30, 31, and hello. Are the plus sign that we have in these 3 example, are the functionalities of these 3 plus signs similar? Yes or no? I want all of you think about it. Let's have a moment of meditation. And then after that, I want you to just step in. Joseph, you're going to be the first one who's going to say, but let's just have a moment of contemplation. Okay, Joseph, can you please elaborate?
So they're somewhat similar, but different functionalities because one is an integer, the other one is just a string. So the integer would be summed up when you use the add or the plus sign, sorry, but for the string, it's just putting the words together. Like a connection sort of thing together rather than summing it because you can't sum up a string.
The topic that we want to talk is not an easy topic. So I want many explanation to let this old guy to understand. Kevin wants to step in, please.
The first one is going to be an integer. So it's like the second one is a double, and the third one is a string. So it automatically defines what what your result is going to be and how you can put them together. So there's no definition. You don't give it a different definition, it's an implied definition of what the values are. So, and when you get your result, that that implied definition is going to be your result. That's what I got from the three.
Lovely. Lovely.
Sorry.
In other words, okay, Michael, do you want to say something? I know that you are plethora of knowledge, so how about if you are near the mic?
I wouldn't say plethora, but so yeah, so it's handled by the compiler. When you're dealing with the numbers, it's just automatically going to be a multiplication operation, and when you're dealing with strings, it's going to be a concatenation.
Lovely.
And it's just all handled internally by the compiler.
Beautiful. So what I learned from Joseph, Kevin, and Michael is they look similar, right? They all look like plus, but actually behind the scene, if we open the door and we try to just see what is happening there, you see that they are going to adjust themselves based on the parameters type that we pass. If they are integer, it's going to be the summation of two integers. And we know that the place in the memory that we can keep the summation of two integers is different from the place that we add two floating points, right? It's going to be totally different size. And for the last one, that's the worst among them all. It's totally a different thing. It's not adding HE to LLO and having a value as the summation, it's concatenation. So plus is wise enough to understand what is happening. And whenever it comes to, for instance, a string, I'm gonna overload the previous functionality that I had with a new concept. Let's just concatenate those two together. Does that make sense? Okay, by saying that, I want you to see this one. Okay, everybody, please have this, and I'm going to bring this one. Okay, what I'm gonna do, let's just play hide and seek for a second. I'm gonna just hide this part, Control C, Control A, Control V. Okay, perfect. So look at this one. This is exactly the thing that you had from before. And guys, just to make sure that we are not gonna miss anything, I'm going to listen to this part. I'm going to copy everything from this part all the way to the beginning into the segment that we have, Control V. You have all the code. It says that too much things to copy. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that part. Hopefully it's going to accept. Yes, and I need to copy this part in the second. So you almost have everything that we see on the screen. What is happening here? I get those four numbers. and then I just add them up. And what happens next is, if I just say, these are the numbers that I get from the user, this is the result. But look at the last one. Here I say result 2. I'm going to say my add and hello world C# and programming, and see what's going to happen. It's like adding integer numbers, and this one is not adding but concatenation, but we use the same name for it. Does that make sense? Look at the result. The first function is going to say the summation is 10, and the second one is going to concatenate all those parts together, right? I want you, I don't know how, but I want you to guess. You have part of the code. I want you to create the missing part, and the intention is not that I expect you to know at the moment. I want you to try. And then when I explain, all of us are going to grasp that concept. Please start. We have 2 minutes for it. Joseph's question. Reza, what do you mean by that? Joseph, I want to complete this function the way that we are going to get something like this output. Awesome. Okay, let's make it more interesting. This is going to be a double bonus question. So let's have 1 more minute. And please do not use ChatGPT or anything like that, because I want you to feel the errors and then solve it yourself. Okay. How about this? Guys, don't worry. Let's just try to solve it together. Look at this one. This is the secret part. Very simple. We exactly copy the same thing that we had here. Wow, I received one. Amazing. Thank you very much. Yes. Double bonus for you. Great job. Excellent. Okay, Alex, bravo. Double bonus for you as well. So Eskim and Alex. Farhina, merci. Farhina, double bonus. In one shot, you got 2 bonuses. Great. Okay, let's see what is going on here. Whenever you want to do something, okay, if I pass numbers, I expect the summation of those numbers. Does that make sense? And when I pass strings, I want to concatenate them. I want to concatenate those strings. Guys, I was lazy last night, so I just said A, B, C, and D. A better naming could be just stir1, stir2, stir3, or name 1, name 2, name 3, something like that. Okay, I said if I pass numbers, I want to add them up, so the summation of integers would be nothing but integers, right? That is something that's obvious. What about the next one? The concatenation of strings would be something string. That is why the return type of the first method is going to be integer. The return type of the second one is a string. Huh? Because we are going to concatenate all those parts, right, Joseph? Like first name, last name, and so on. We are going to concatenate them, and the result is going to be nothing but another string. So I use interpolation, adding everything and return the result. This time the result is a string, as you see. Okay, so how computer can understand, how compiler can understand that, which one I should use based on the parameters that we pass. If they are integers, it's going to use this one. If the parameters that we pass like this would be strings, it's going to use this one. Right? Okay, you might say, what if I don't know that? Listen to me, it's not a big deal. If I don't know that, we are gonna say concat for this one, for example, and we call this one concat, and now it works the same way, right? So if I say 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's going to work the same way. But the beautiful part is I give that kind of intelligence to my program, that you program go and decide based on the inputs which one you are gonna pick, adding some numbers or concatenating some strings, using the same number with different, using the same, method name with different functionality. This functionalities, this is what we call overloading. Listen to this part. Overloading happens within the same class. I repeat it again, overloading happens within the same class. So if I'm inside class program, I'm gonna define different methods. Based on the signature, the program is going to pick the appropriate version of the method that I defined there. If there are integers, I'm gonna pick this one. If there are strings, I'm gonna pick this one. Imagine that my program has double as well. And why imagining? Let me just create such a thing. I'm going to say add, and this time I'm gonna say, you see, if everything is the same as what it was before, it's going to pick on me. I'm gonna say if double happens, we are gonna have that, and let's say double, double, and then why it gives me error? Because the result is double, but I say the return type is integer. I fix that, and it should work fine as well. Oh, sorry. Control C, Control V. Okay, then it's fine. Does it make sense? Just for the sake of example, I quickly say another one, and I say double my result 3 this time, and I'm gonna say my add 1.2, comma 1.3, comma 1.4, comma 4.2 as well, and semicolon at the end. Let me just see if I made any mistake anywhere. Give me a second. What, Reza, come on, 1.3. Shame on you. 1.4. Guys, forgive me. Okay, so and then I'm gonna say console write line, and that is the result for the last one. Very simple. I'm going to run it again. And for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, and it's going to be 8.1 for that one. Does that make sense? Okay, this is overloading. And many a time people get confused. What are the differences between overloading and overriding? For that one, we definitely need to know the full concept of object-oriented, and I have no clue about it at the moment. I promise at the end of the next semester, you can simply distinguish these two, and that is one of the common questions that you might receive in interviews, serious interviews. Just I want to tell you, and I promise to have that session extracurricular thing. Yesterday, one of it was Thursday from 2 to 3:30. I talked for something like 90 minutes to 2 of my students that they came to my office about the things that they had this worry that Reza, these are complicated things. And the discouraging part is no matter how hard we try, these questions can be solved in a twinkle of an eye using AI. So is there any place for us if we try that hard? The short answer of that 90 minutes is yes. And I just tell you one thing at the moment, but I owe you that 90 minutes. If you like, after the semester, we can just have a ceremony session, e-coffee ceremony session together, talking about those concerns. But the quick answer to that is, guys, very much spend time on these concepts and then complete your knowledge using AI. Because in future, as the owner, the CEO of NVIDIA said, you're not going to lose your job, at least in the short term. I'm talking about the next 10 years. You're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to someone who knows your skill, but they complete it with AI. So programming is gonna stay. Programming is here to stay, at least for next 20 years. But the shape is gonna be a little bit different. And those who have knowledge, who gain this knowledge, they're gonna be the successful people in the industry. That's the gist of that 90 minutes. I promise to have a complete session if you want. Okay, let's go to the next question together. And that is, why is this overloading? The same method name, different parameters, right? And different return types as you see. This is not necessary. This is not necessary. And the reason for that is, Reza, what do you mean by that? I'm going to create the last version of this one very quick. Yes, exactly. I'm going to, Alex, beautiful. I'm going to make this one, what if I just have two parameters? And look at this one. This is another version of my ad, and I'm going to create this one, and I explain what I said. So if I say 3, if I say 4, you see that result 4, and just show this one result 4. And if I run it, you can just get the whole idea of what is happening. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you see that based on the number of parameters that we have, based on the type of parameters that we have, we can have different signature. The signature is nothing but the number of parameters and the type of parameters and the return type that we have. Is it clear? That is a signature of a method. So based on what we use, we overload the previous function. Getting to the next question for you is, okay, Reza, a square, a number. This is a challenge. Let's have a cool down kind of method. I want you to write a function, a method for me that gets a number and make it square, and make it a square is, if it is 5, 5 times 5 is 25. So just return that to me. Let's have 2 minutes for that competition, please. Um, the solution of previous one or this one. If you want to have this one, Control C. Yes, I share it, but I need to divide it into different parts. Okay, would it be fine? Because the first part, you already have it. Or if you want the first part as well, I'm gonna just. Oh, it doesn't accept because it has lots of things. I'm gonna divide it into 2 parts. Okay, that is just sent to you. Okay, thank you very much, Kevin. And that is why I have 2 solutions for that, because let's spend 1 more minute for people to finish their attempt. Thank you, Kevin. Michael, lovely. Actually, two different methods, both of them are correct. Okay, no. So let's use up our time and see. One of the methods is actually Alex Bravo. Okay. So look at this one. I define my square that I pass a number, whatever it is. I'm going to return that number multiply itself. So how it's going to work, I ask the user, please enter a number. I place that into my num, right? The different name compared to this one. And then I'm going to just use that method and place it into my main result. And I'm going to say the square value of my num would be this my result. Does it make sense? Okay, so let's see how it's going to work. And guys, I'm going to give you, I hope that we can finish the whole file today. If not, I'm going to cut the parts that we cannot finish for today, but I'm going to upload the first part. And next week, before the exam, we are going to continue. Hopefully, we can just have more samples and examples before the exam. And then I'm going to send the complete version back in that time. So let's say 10, and it is going to say the square value of 10 would be 100. Does that make sense? Okay, for those who left behind, I'm going to just send you the code. I want you to spend 30 seconds, run the code, go through it, see if there is any question or concern. This is one way of doing the task. Actually, Kevin was the first one who used this method, saying that, Reza, I'm going to use math.pow, which is a predefined function. Someone was kind enough to provide this functionality for us. So you pass the number, and this is going to be the power. So it returns math.pow, that kind of thing. Okay, it works exactly the same way. It is nicer, neater, a concise version of that. And if I say 2, and 2 to the power of 2 would be 4. And if I say, for instance, 9, it should give us 81. Let's try it, and it works like that. But your question might be, someone day one has written something that created this math how. We want to go back to that time in the history of programming and create math power together from the scratch using a loop. Guys, you know that when I say 2 to the power of 3, for example, right, which is 8, it is going to be a loop that we are going to multiply to 3 times. So 2 times 2 times 2. Does that make sense? If I say 5 to the power of 3, for example, which is going to be 125, it's going to be 5 times 5 times 5. So we need to have a loop from I equal to 1 all the way to the maximum number, to the number that we have as the power, like 3, 4. As long as it is less than or equal that number, just do that kind of thing. Just one hint. Before getting to that thingy, that loop, we need to define something like int, I don't know, result equal to 1 at the beginning, a nutrient value in multiplication. Then you are gonna say every time that I get into the loop, multiply that result by that number. So the first, it's gonna be 1 multiply 2. So in the result, we are gonna have 2. Next time, it's gonna be 2 multiplied by another 2. So now it has 4 inside it. Next time, 2 to the power of 3, it's gonna be 2 multiply 4, which is the result of the previous 2 times 2 kind of thing. No matter how far we can get, please start working on it. In 3 minutes, I'm going to learn from your answers and bring it on the screen. Please start. Pooja, that is the correct answer, but to a different question. I want to calculate using for loop. If you say 2 to the power of 5, it can calculate that too, saying it is 32. So not just square, not just cube, any number and any power. Just I think that I had an appointment with one of our team members. If you are in the class, I guess who that person was, but please just send me a private message that we are going to have our meeting after 1:20. Again, please send me a private message to confirm that we are going to have our meeting. Okay. How about this? Let's just see first the output. The output is saying, please enter your number, for instance, 5. Then please enter the power, 3, for example. And then it says 5 to the power of 3 would be 125. Let's try it once again with another number that we know. This time I'm going to say 2 and 7, and I expect after pressing enter, it says 128, and that's what's going to happen. But let's see, what is my power function doing? Okay, I'm going to say my power needs to receive 2 parameters, the number and the power that we are going to pass to it. Does that make sense, everyone? So the nutrient number for multiplication is 1. That number for summation is 0, right? We want a number that if we multiply it, it's not going to impact the result. So let's say result is equal to 1 at the beginning. Give me a second. Wow, beautiful. Excellent. Eskim and Kevin, thank you very much. So what is going to happen? I prefer to have a breakpoint here, then I can easily follow up what is happening. Why don't you do? Okay, this is the other trick that sometimes works. There we go. Okay. Now I go to the next lines saying that enter the value. I'm gonna just say, for instance, 2, and then pressing enter, look what's gonna happen. The first line said, please enter a number. I got it, converted that to integer. And now inside my num, we have 2. I repeat that one. Guys, what is the result of 2 to the power of 3? Can anybody tell?
12.
Lovely, yes, 8. Excellent. So next part, I'm going to say, oops, sorry, not there. 3 and press enter. Then I have my POW equal to 3 now. I got that from the user. Thank you very much, Michael. And the thing is now in here, I have my number equal to 2 and I have my power equal to 3. If I hover the mouse, I can see those numbers respectively, 2 and 3. And now this is the function call. So if I keep moving, it's going to bring me here while the num is 2 and the pow is 3. means that the containers that I had, now I'm going to just put those variables into those parameters. I get to this line, so of course, result would be 1 at the beginning. Then I'm going to say start from 1 all the way to the pow. Don't forget to have equal here. Guys, one of the problems that it gives us 0 would be if I gives us wrong answer, not 0, is using from 0 all the way to pow if I keep that equal sign. This is the easiest for us to understand. Two things we need to consider: start from 1 all the way to power, including that power, and result should be 1, not 0. Okay, I keep going, and look what's gonna happen is 1 less than pow, which is 3, yes. So I'm gonna get inside this. Look at this part. Till this moment, power result is 1. I'm gonna multiply it by num, which is 2. And the beautiful thing is, everybody knows any number to the power of 1 is going to bring the same number. So after finishing the first round, I'm going to have the same number, which is 2 to the power of 1. Okay, let's go to the next round. We add 1 into I. I would be 2 after this. Look. And then is 2 less than 3? Yes. So we are going to get there. The second round, we are going to multiply num, which is 2, to the result that we had from the previous one. It generates 2 to the power of 2 till this moment. So result is going to have 4. And I'm going to go another time. This time I would be 3. Still 3 is less than or equal 3. So we get to the loop. This time 4 multiplies by 2. So we are going to have 8 here, which is the 2 to the power of 3. And then because the next round, this is not going to be correct, it's going to turn to 4. So we are going to return that 8 to the user. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to copy this code for you. I want you, please, spend just a few seconds going through the code, see if everything is fine, and then we are going to continue. Okay. One thing. I want you to define, this is a signature of a next function. I want you to define a function that the name is display area of circle. And whenever we have void here, it means what? It means that we are going to display the result within a function, right? So we are going to have something like console write line. What is the purpose of this function? Very simple. The name of a function is self-descriptive. You are going to receive a radius. For instance, it is 10. You are going to say, excellent, bravo, Michael. When it is void, means it's not going to have any return, but we want to, for instance, just display something by saying control.writeLine. Okay, the purpose of this function is getting the radius from the user. Let's simplify it as I mentioned. We are going to pass 10 into it, and we expect it's going to be pi times radius times radius. So please write a function. Bravo, Alex. Super fast. Let's wait for two more friends. Okay, if it is not very much clear, we want to have a body of that function. So when we call that function saying display area of circle, it brings us 315.15 kind of thing. Bravo, Eskim. Excellent. I very much like the way that you used constant. Let's wait for one more friend. Michael, try.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Would you please try your function with radius equal to 10 and see if it gives you 314.15?
It certainly
Bravo.
does not.
Don't worry, just tiny, teeny things that we need
Yeah,
to
I gotta look at that. I think
Awesome.
it's the math there.
Perfect. That's awesome. Okay, so let's just this is one way. I'm not saying that's the best way, but this is just one way. And that is saying the area is equal to math.pi, right? And then yeah, dot radius. So we get a whatchamacallit, the radius. You can use math.pow here too, but we need to use it math.pow. We use radius for this part, saying 2, right? And it's going to just give us the same result. We are going to test it with something like 10, and it gives us that result. But you might say, Reza, I don't want to use pi here. One of the ways that we can just use it is saying double pi, for instance, I'm just use intentionally first pi like that, saying 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. That is one way, but that's not the best way, because by saying pi in that format, you keep the door open for later modification on pi variable because it is variable. The correct version of that is saying, let's have pi as the constant, and a good practice is to converting that. And that is the way that scheme used and solved, right? And if I just go and say, please use this, it gives me the same result. It is possible to use round function. One of the quick way to just show 2 decimal points is saying equal F2 based on the assignment submissions. You're the master of it. You know how to use the precision. It's not going to change the actual number. It just decorated, showing the number of precision that you mentioned here. Okay, so yeah, the only fixation that Pooja you need to do is change double to constant. That's a kind of better practice. Actually, it was a very nice reminder. So I'm going to just say constant. Let's just quickly save your time. This is the first thing that I mentioned here. The second one, I said that's a kind of a more complete version, asking the radius from the user. You see here, I just didn't pass 10. I said, please enter the radius. I got it from the user, changed it to double, and then save it here. And then I passed that to calculate. It is possible, guys, look at this one. It is possible that let me quickly Control C, show you what are the differences. Why I said calculate area here, I could say double my result, for example, equal to that double reza. Okay, my result, and I just bring it there, for instance. And if I just ask, again, I'm lazy, I just use the number that is familiar. Or as you saw, instead of having, my apologies, instead of having a separate place, Control Z, 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 okay, I can just directly use the function using interpolation. It's going to be here, showing the default 2 decimal points if I just say :F, right? Okay, please, thanks for letting me know. Okay, so the next thing is, you see, I mentioned here, and thanks to the reminder, yeah, one of the other ways that I could just do is saying static double my pi. It's exactly like, instead of math.pi, I'm going to use my own version of pi, right? Bravo, Michael. Thank you very much. Yeah. So what I'm going to do in here, look at this one. This is responsible to calculate the area, but look at this one. In that function, I called another function that I have written myself, right? And that is my pi. So it's going to get the value of that 3.1415, replace it here, and then the rest would be fine. I'm going to send you this code, and I want you all, please, run that code using the breakpoint or anything, try to spend a few seconds and see if everything is clear. And then we are gonna move forward. Whenever you read and you finish and everything is super clear, please give me the first high five, high five. I kill it. Let's keep. Okay, how about this? I'm going to, because it took a little bit more than what I initially expected. So it shows that I need to review it. Let's review together. As always, I think the best way is placing one breakpoint there. I'm gonna run the code. So the first line, it is going to just, if I go through it, it says that please enter the value. I go to the next and I just say this time, let's say 1. And then it says to this part, listen to this. It is going to print, but before printing, I have my radius. Yes, I have that. But to print this part of the string, actually, I need to call a function. So I'm going to, I say step into, it gets into this part, passing that number 1 as the radius. And then look at this one. It's going to be 1 multiply 1. And then look, I say step into again. So because I have one function, my pi, I get into that function. And this one is going to return 3.1415. And then getting back to here, now I have the value. So this is going to return 1 times 1 times what I returned for my pi. And now it gets back to this line. I already have all the needed results from all the functions that I have executed. And now it goes to the next line. Does that make sense? And it shows 3.14. Now, this time, if it is clearer, I'm not saying that it is 100% clear. If it is clearer, please type 1. Okay, thank you. And the thing is, the recording will be available. Thank you very much, Michael. The thing is, the recording will be available in few hours. It takes a few hours to get that. Sometimes, last time I remember, I could receive the file 9:30 p.m. Right after that, I uploaded to the channel that we have. I'm going to announce, let me just write that. Announce the YouTube playlist. For those, I received that. I don't know why. I don't know why that Zoom by itself didn't show the previous sessions, the last 2 previous sessions, and that's a kind of confusing part. But the good thing is we have all recordings inside the YouTube channel. So if you need to review anything, you're gonna have them. Okay. Let's go and continue to the next challenge. Okay, tax calculation. What I'm gonna do is, guys, this is gonna be super easy for you. And I'm gonna send that part to everyone. Imagine that we want to have a function. Let's just have it here. No. Imagine that we want to have a function. This is saying what we expect. Guys, what is the price type? Double, right? So I can understand that I need to define a function. This is what I think we should do. Joseph, please help me if I miss anything. What is the signature of any function? I remember just a static part. What else?
Static double.
Double, and the reason for that is, look at this one. You might say, how Joseph could guess that it should be double. The reason for that is whatever we have here as a result is gonna just set inside, it's gonna stay inside tax variable, and that variable is double, so we can understand the return should be double. And the thing is, now how can we guess what is the nature of the price? Look at here. We say double price, so we can guess whatever the number is there, it should be double as well. And because I don't want to get confused that we have price here, we have price there, I'm gonna say my price, for instance, here. And definitely I need to have a body block. And imagine that the value that we want to consider as the coefficient is gonna be 0.13, 13%. So please complete that and send it to the private message. Sorry.
What was the question, sorry?
Complete the calculate tax function.
Do you see my result? I sent it to you. Not sure if that's what you meant.
I surprised how fast. Slow down, man. Great job. Okay, let's wait for 2 minutes. I'm gonna come back in 2 minutes. I'm gonna close my mic and video. Okay, so I have some good responses. Great. Two different methods. Lovely. Skim. Bravo. And Adavale. Excellent. Kevin. Bravo. Okay. Let's use I'm gonna borrow from the simplest. I need to say for sure return, and guess what? Whatever the price is, I'm gonna just simply say multiply 0.13 and semicolon, and that is the fastest way to work with. But what if I want to make it, we talked about magic numbers, any number except 0 and 1. A better practice is to define saying that double, right? For instance, tax rate kind of thing, equal to 0.13 semicolon, and I use this one in my formula, right? And even better, I can say that, hey, Reza, it is constant, and I'm gonna just change tax rate, and I'm gonna replace this one and place it here like that. Huh? Yeah, correct, Maria. Thank you. So you might say, Reza, which one is better? Which one? Well, I prefer using this kind of format because guys, whenever you go to any interview or anything, you need to show off that I know concepts, different concepts. I know what is the role of constant. I can use it properly. I know magic numbers and so on. But for the sake of exam, the simplest one, acceptable. The next level, acceptable. This level, acceptable. All of them are amazing. You're gonna have full mark. And another thing is, if for any reason you cannot get the final answer, but the logic works, we can expect to receive 75 to 80%. I'm going to reserve 20 to 25% for the final answer. Okay, by saying that, and you might say, Reza, you said something before that. How about 1.13? Yes, it is the time that you do not want to have price plus tax, means you mean the overall, the total price is gonna be like this. Here, I meant to calculate only the tax part. Let's just see how it works, if it works. So this is time first 100. We say calculate the tax for 100, and it is going to be the tax part. Look at this. Tax $13 plus 100. It is going to provide the first line for me, right? So this is this one. How about the next one? Next one, I was lazy. I used directly this part inside, huh? Totally acceptable. And I'm gonna say use :C. Can anybody jog my memory? Just type the word. What is the meaning of yes? Awesome. Pooja, try your own code and see if it works. And show me the output. Yeah. Okay, how about the last one? The last one, I was saying, imagine that I don't save, I do not save the, okay, I do not save the 1.13 56 anywhere else, I know that the tax part plus 1 point is gonna just create this one for me. Does that make sense? I just did everything in one line. You might say, how about this, Reza? Let's just try the same thing here. I'm gonna say 100 again, 100 again. I'm gonna run the code and it's gonna give me exactly the same result. All of them are gonna be 113.0. Okay. By saying that, let's go to the next round together. And well, I was lazy. I just used this one. And I'm going to say Control C. A better version, considering that the tax does not change every day, meaning a better way could be as follows. Forgive my English, I'm gonna fix the grammar later, but for now, it is saying this is going to be a better version. So I'm gonna just save that, what I learned from you for later. And now we want to have calculate tax and calculate total. The thing is, look at this one. Actually, we are going to pass, let's just use C. My apologies, give me a sec. Okay, now it's a better format. I want to have the calculate tax part and calculate total. The whole idea of this was calling a function inside another function. Does that make sense? Okay, now I'm going to give you, and please give me a second, Control C, Control V. Yeah, I'm going to give you this time the whole function, and I want you to spend time using those bullet points, go through it yourself and see how the code works. I sent you the whole code inside the chat. Please work on it. Okay, if you are done with reviewing, I want two people, one at a time, step in please and explain the code. I'm gonna just be your assistant and follow the lines. Whenever you say line number 2 is saying, line number 3 is saying, I'm gonna just highlight those lines. So who's gonna step in? Bravo, Michael, thank you. So Kevin, do you want to start?
Yeah. Line one, you're going to declare your price variable. It says it's $10. It's a double. The next line, you want to write your original price, which is the $10. And the second line, you're going to call your calculate tax method and send the price into that method to get the tax rate for that method. So you're going to send back into your right line. Was it line number 3 there? You're going to send back the tax plus the original my price. So 1.13 would be the equivalent of 1.13 times. Give me 1 second. Yeah, 0.13. You'll send back the tax of your price. So it'd be 13% of 10. So $30. Should be $1.30 there. And then the next line is going to calculate your total, which would then give you the price of the $1.30, which is the it's gonna inside the next calculate total is gonna call the calculate tax method, which gives you the $1.30, and then it's going to add it to the original price and give you the total price of your product, and then yeah, and then it will just end at that point because that's the end of it after it returns the total.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. I already appreciated that by considering. Bonus. And guys, I treasured all the lists. You're gonna see pretty soon when you apply and say Reza, you're gonna see. Okay, hopefully. You're gonna share the news with all your team members that I got job opportunity. It's not gonna be far from today. Let's just go to what actually Kevin said. I'm gonna place a breakpoint over there, saying that okay, the original price, look at here, the original price is what we already designated over there. In this line, actually, because we call a function, and that function is my, where is the thing, calculate tax, we get to calculate tax. And look what's going to happen. We pass that 10, and the constant value for the tax rate is 0.13. We multiply those two and we calculate the tax portion of it. This is simple, and it's going to return that one. So we are going to say, look at this one, the tax part is 1.3. That is what we expected, as Kevin said. But the most interesting part would be the last one. Look at this. We call calculate total, which is going to be this part. We pass the same price, $10, and saying that 10 is here, and then C, calculate tax 10. If I say step into, because we called inside calculate total another method, it brings us back to that method, calculate those things, return the tax part, which is going to be after that 1.3. And now we have calculated this tax part thanks to calling the calculate tax function. We add the result into the original price, and then we are going to have the overall tax kind of thing. And then, ta-da, it's going to bring the result. And look at the last line. It is going to have the total, right? You might say, Reza, why should we have tax in one place? Why should we? This is just a toy example. We just want to see how we can utilize a function calling another function, right? It's a kind of nested function, we could say. Okay. So by saying that, now we are ready to go to the next part. And here it says a new version, a better version. displaying the result. So challenge, let the output be like the following. So saying what do we call it? Guys, because I don't waste your time. The only thing that actually I need to make it better is bringing this here, and don't laugh at me. I always need to make sure that if it works, Control C. So I'm going to just bring it here, Control V, because that is the thing that I'm going to send to you. Yes, it works. And as you see, it is saying the $sign, and that is because we have used :C. That's the lesson that we reviewed in the previous session, right? Okay, so saying that nothing is different, it's just showing that $sign. And getting back to the question actually that Alex asked, if I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of this session. And that was, you remember, Alex, you said, please enter the first number inside the function, please enter the second number inside the function, right? So you got those two numbers, you add them together, you print the result all inside the function. Look at this one. This is a kind of review. You already know the answer, but I want everybody to think about that. Look at this one, calculate volume of Q, saying the function is here, calculate the volume of the Q. And the second one is saying get volume of Q. I just wanted to have two different names for two different functions. In the first one, I just get the values of length, width, and height, and I return the multiplication of those numbers. In the second one, let me just copy, Control C. In the second one, as you see, I say, please enter the first, second, third kind of thing. And then I got those values like length, width, and height. And then I say return the multiplication. If you see here, I do not have any variable. I didn't say double length, double width. I got them all within a body of a function. While in this one, I just got those values and placed them as the input parameters. What I'm gonna do, I just send you, thank you, Michael. I just send you, yeah, the code. You have it now. And I'm saying if I use the same values, if I say 2, 3, and 5, it is going to give me the same result. So in terms of results, I don't see any difference, but I want you to think, spend a few seconds thinking which one is a better approach. That's the question. Pooja, not a bad idea to share to everybody because you are saying a correct thing, but let's share with everyone. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Let's see. The first one actually, because I used I thought that it's not comparing apple and apple. So now we have kind of similar conditions for both. Let's just say for the first method, I say 1, 2, and 3, and it's going to be 6 as the volume. The second one, if I use the same numbers, the same result as well. But and because I wanted to distinguish between the values that I'm gonna pass here to my function that I used length, width, and height. Intentionally, I just use a kind of a contract version of it, a shorter version of it, having just 4 letters out of the real word, just to say this length is not this one. These are variables, these are arguments. Okay, so in the first method that you see here, I'm saying that, okay, pass those values and calculate within, and this is just gonna be the only thing that the function does. It got all those values, no matter if you just want to enter directly 1, 2, 3, or you ask the user. The functionality of this method is just multiplying those numbers, and that's it. In the second one, we combine those two responsibilities. We say that, okay, get the value from the user, place it somewhere, get the value for the width, place it somewhere, and do that as well. And then based on the numbers that you have received from the user, then return the multiplication of the values. Well, definitely, as Michael correctly mentioned earlier, this approach is very error prone, right? So this approach might bring some errors because it is lengthy. That is one thing. And experts saying the best is just doing one job at a time in each function, right? You can just simply trace, see if there is any mistake, any problem, yes or no, so you can just fix that. Longer story short, I can say if we have an exam, you use this mechanism, no problem. As long as the code works, that is fine. But guys, this is a professional approach. This is someone who just knows basic coding principles, but not making the code efficient enough for big projects and so on. Can you relate to the thing and see what are the differences? Awesome. So I'm not gonna take a time for going through. I just added those kind of things here. This one I just used again volume of those values here and those things. I guess yeah, using calculate and what are the differences between these two? Just give me a sec, give me a sec. now I don't see any specific difference, so I'm gonna just get rid of Control C. I know it's not a pleasant, somebody just scroll the code like this. Okay, now safely I can remove this part. And now the question is, what is actually here saying that it is a better version? Control C. This is nothing, just I used those instead of, yeah, and I prefer actually to combine what we learned together, saying this part, Control C. Using this as well as using this line. Okay, I'm gonna say what is changed. So we tested both of them and we decided, let me just make sure that this code works. Among all those two approaches, I decided to pick the winner based on the logic. So now if I just run that, this time let's use 2, 3, and 4, and I expect 2 times 3, 6, 6 times 4, 24, and it works fine. No problem in here. So the only thing is, okay, this is to make it clear. Kevin, Alex, Joseph, Goma, Michael, Pooja, is it clear enough, the explanation? Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to, and that is something that I want you to, guys, you're going to have this part. I want you to define, don't go very much, okay. I want you to define a method, and that method is called display menu. Is it clear? I want you to define a method called display menu. I send the code to everyone. You have that part. And give me a second. My apologies. Yeah. What actually we want to see is something as simple as that. You just need to add a few more lines to make it happen the way that I'm gonna share with you. Look, I run the code. It is going to show you this menu. Does that make sense? If I press 1, it is just saying 1 is pressed, and after that, the program is gonna get terminated. Not the best, but it works like that. If I say 2, saying 2 is pressed, and it's going to get terminated. Let me just jump to the last one. If I say 0, it's gonna say bye, and it's gonna get terminated. And you might say, Reza, what if I say something which is not among the range? So like 55, it says not a valid number entered, and it is getting outside the loop. Another hard thing to do, it's very simple. So please do not consider that I asked any kind of trick question, very straightforward. So please complete the code and send a complete version or just the display this part. function part. Yeah, complete this one for me. Thank you.
We're using methods, right?
Yeah, definitely. You see that I just send a blank method. You need just to complete that part. Okay. Oh, sure, sure. No worries. Bravo, Alex. Whatever you did, Alex, keep doing that. You're the winner by far. You're the winner of the bonus points today. Great. Closely followed by Eskim, Michael, Kevin. Yeah.
I just have to make sure not to post something in mutual chat and then you take off all my bonus points again.
You remind me that. Okay, good. Let's spend one more minute. If you have done, okay, Joseph, bravo. Pooja. Pooja, make it complete. Like it should show something, just 1, 2, 3 is not enough. Just add some stuff into it. I consider bonus for you, but complete it. Okay, so don't worry. Let's just go to the code. Farhina, bravo. Farhina, very much nice participation today. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's go to the code together. Guys, very simple. We just define a display menu that contains all those lines. Eskim, bravo. Yeah. Having all those lines saying, please choose one of the following options. Saying one is inches to centimeter. Imagine that we want to have a kind of application that if you enter, for instance, 1, it's going to say it's 2.54 centimeter and so on and so forth, right? Maria, very complete version. Bravo, bravo. Pooja, merci. The thing is, if we say, we are saying, yeah, any of those things, we check if the case that user enters, we convert it to integer. So we have user option. We say switch user option. Case 1 is pressed, then say 1 is pressed. Simplify the thing. Guys, now you know. Imagine that 1 is pressed. You can simply say, please enter the, what is the job? Please enter the measurement in inches. So user is gonna enter something there. You're gonna grasp it. You can define one function, inches to centimeter function, and just call that function within the block of here, right? And it's going to just do the job for us. As simple as that, right? Kevin, bravo. Excellent. Okay, so now we want to bring it to another level. And that level is, let me just see. Yes, we want to make a loop like a forever loop. So we don't want just to do one job and then exit. We want to exit whenever you really press 0 here. So you want to say, okay, now I don't want to continue by, and you just exit when the user decides to actually exit. You have this code, everybody is going to have the code. I'm going to send it to everyone. Just bring it to another level, make it kind of infinite loop, please.
Can you repeat the question again, Reza, please?
Sure. Give me a second. Now the question is this. It shows me a menu. I say one, it says one is pressed, then it shows the menu again. I say two, it says two is pressed, and again it shows the menu again. I can just keep doing that. No. Meanwhile, that our team members try to solve this. Muzna, if you can hear me, please type one in a private chat. Again, Muzna, if you can hear me, please type one in private chat. My apologies, Pooja, I cannot now go to, I have limited screens. My apologies, I cannot open any. I already have 3 screens, but still it's not enough to open another.
I'm wondering why it's keep happening like it happened the other day as well.
That could happen. One of the band-aid solutions is just leave the room and come back most of the time. That makes it work.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll do
again.
that then.
Okay. Adewale, thank you, but I'm asking again from Muzna, if you can hear me. Muzna Jonaid, can you hear me? Please type one if you can hear me. Okay. Great job. Michael, bravo, as always. And sorry. Okay, don't worry, Pooja. Without even checking, you can just, yeah, check the email later. I'm gonna just cancel it. Okay, guys, the next Kevin, to the interest of time, please allow me to reveal the answer. here is what we had before, but we want to have, oh, I have already, yeah, based on the question that I received from, look at this one. I could say two things here. To say while true, not very much recommended. The best is to define a flag. I called it boolean. Keep continuing equal to true. So it's gonna do it forever. It's gonna just ask you the questions forever. When you say one, it's gonna say one is pressed, break. And then we get to look at this part. We get to after this loop, right? After this loop, after this switch, and we get back again to while, display the menu, and again saying that what is the option, get that from the user, and just keep going and going and going. And the only way that let us skip the infinite loop is this part. If you press 0, it's going to say goodbye, and then it's going to convert the flag from true to false. And the next time that we get there, this one is not gonna be true anymore. So it's gonna bring us after the loop, and we are gonna have that line, right? Does that make sense? So that is why if I say, for instance, one is pressed, it goes. If I say two is pressed, and just when I say 0, it's going to say bye, and the program is going to get terminated. Now we get one level better, but something which is bothering me is the nice, neat way is every time that we pick, it says or it does something, but it clears the screen after that. And then when we want to get to the menu, we see a nice clean screen just showing one menu, not everything in the screen. You know what I'm saying? So the next challenge would be, Reza, I want to have a nice, neat screen. And it would be like this. Let me just run. So saying that, okay, it says one is pressed. Look at this one. I press enter. It clears the screen, showing the menu again. And I can just say 2 this time. 2 is pressed. 44, saying that not a valid number, getting back to there as well. Alex, thank you. For the previous one, guys. And don't worry.
I didn't do well, but it still works.
Yeah, Parhina, thank you again for the previous one. Now I could check. Yes, Michael, thank you for a reminder. Awesome. That's just, if I were in your shoes, I'm gonna ask C# how to clear a screen. Just Google it. You don't need ChatGPT even. How to clear the console or screen, C#. I found something, but I don't know how to use it. For those who want to apply, guys, sorry, I'm going to just send you this link that I found, but I don't know how to apply it. You can just search and oops. Shoot, I just revealed. Okay, guys, that's my goof. Alex, now you don't need to feel guilty. I did the same thing. So now it's time to deduct mark from Reza. I copied accidentally the answer. Okay, guys. Thanks to Reza who ruined the whole pleasure of searching. Let's go and see. Very simple. The only line that we need to add is this one. Console dot clear. This simple line that I searched in Google, and you can find it. I'm sorry. In here too. I just said, it says that console.clear method. And for we have it here too, and we have tons of Stack Overflow and so on. The only line that I added to clear the screen every time that I get back to loop is gonna be this one. Okay, does that make sense? Joseph, is it clear? Kevin, Alex? Okay. Let's go to that. Yeah, let's go to the next part. And the thing is, you're gonna say, hey, Reza, come on, these are just jokes compared to the examples. Yes, I know, but I want to quickly go through them. I borrowed these questions from W3 schools. Before getting any further, I'm gonna say, I will bring you, if you see here for the what do we call it? For the files that I'm gonna upload, one of the things that I will upload is that method's best practice. I'm gonna quickly, before continuing, I'm gonna quickly go through this one. And then you see that here, this one, I'm going to upload this, but definitely not the answers. And then I'm gonna say some funds. No, I'm not gonna upload that because I want to keep the fund for a week after the test too. We are going to have, but just to tell you, we are going to have ton examples, for instance, creating something like this. I remember once I couldn't get enough sleep, so I was like, what should I do? I just woke up, got to the computer and defined all those cool samples, like how to create this, how to create this, how to create. Oh, the problem is the screen is recorded, so you can just slow down and have the answers. Okay, so let me just close this. We are going to have fun time to do all those things. But before getting any further, the first question that I asked was, which one is better? To have the function method definition on top, then using it, or the other way around. It is saying that the best is to define function first and then using it. And the reasons would be the clarity, the error prevention, and that's a kind of best practice. And you see, for instance, they used a method here and they called the method inside the main method kind of thing. Okay, so the next question is, what is general best practice? If you have public, protected, internal, and private, we start from public, then protected, internal, and then private. You might say, Reza, I have no clue. Just keep that file. Whenever we learn about the object-oriented concept, then they make sense. For now, just the first part is what we are expecting to understand. The other thing is, look at this one. I said that there are some practices. I have borrowed this from those files, those websites that I have already talked. I know The first one is going to be just a joke for you. Write a program in C# to create a user defined function, and the output should say, welcome friends, have a nice day. And the second one is going to be just one bump more, writing a C# program to create a user defined function with the parameters. So test data would be, for instance, please input your name, John, and then the output is going to say, welcome friend, John, and that's it. Kind of thing. Does that make sense? And the questions, but why I will share the answers for everything all the way to 10 and not 11 and 12, because if you see, I'm saying here, find a recursive function. I don't know what recursive is, but and what are the benefits of using recursive functions? There are cases that we have no other way, or safer to say, not a simple way, like Hanoi. It's a kind of classical problem. So we use recursion. But for the others, we just use normal way of functions, or they call it iterative. So iterative functions are 1 to 10, and we have just 2 samples. And that's what you see here. We talk about Fibonacci and the rest either next week or a week after test 2. But getting back to what we were here, yeah, I just quickly tell you guys, I'm going to place for myself to remember. That's what I do. 3 tilde to know where we left off. But just look at these things. I created a method. You pass a name. You're saying that first name plus space Refsnes, I think that the Swedish name are the owners of the W3 schools, those that they, yeah. And the other things, we didn't get to the default values. We are going to continue that journey next week. We just finished up to this point. I'm going to provide those examples, samples, and I will provide the summation of the topics so you can ask our friends, ChatGPT, Claude, Mistral, Gemini. These are the topics. Please provide a midterm kind of exam for me, and you can just work on those samples. If there is any question, any concern, please ask. Otherwise, I wish you the best. Thank you very much for staying in the class till the last moment. Wish you the best of luck for the next week. Have a wonderful one. Yes, Pooja?
I have a question from the assignment 6. Very small question. If you don't mind, can I share my screen for a moment?
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, because that's gonna be a private kind of discussion, let me just say a proper goodbye to everybody. Everyone else, you can just leave. Have a wonderful one. Take care of yourself. I'm gonna stop recording at the moment. Give me a few seconds.
Okay. Hi, Lisa.
Bye. Yes.
I sent an email to you regarding the assignment 6 as well. Question 5.
Okay. We can do 2 things. Let me just say goodbye and finish the recording. Give me a second.
Reza, just to confirm as well,
Yes, please.
so the overall content that we're going to need to study is from week 1 to 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Till today's content, everything that we covered from
to
the
this,
beginning
so,
up to today's
yeah,
content.
based off of what I see on the website, it's just before arrays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and the thing is, because I made it a little bit lengthier, arrays is going to happen either either a week after test 2 or 1 week later. Yes, but everything before arrays.
Everything before. Got it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Have a good one.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stop recording. Okay, so who wants to? Yes. Are you sure you want to stop?